there. Welcome to the Make It Visible podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Kuei. I am a visibility and marketing coach, and this is our special spot for female coaches who might be feeling a little bit lost in the crowd, especially if you're introverted. We're here to help you to stand out, so join us as we share stories, tips, and fun chat that will help you shine. Whether you are new or perhaps you've been coaching for a while, this is going to be your go-to place to be seen and heard. So get comfy and grab your coffee. Let's get started. Today, we are going to talk about the 4 game-changing social media strategies that will make your webinar or event the next talk of the town without emptying out your pockets. Hey, everybody, I'm Michelle, and I am a visibility and marketing coach, and I work with female coaches to turn a passion for coaching into a profitable business so that they can get seen, get heard, and get clients without the marketing overwhelm. If you're tired of seeing empty seats and hearing all the crickets at your webinar, then you are at the right place. Let's turn those crickets into paying clients, shall we? One of the problems that a lot of female coaches experiencing is that they have tons of idea that they want to help their audience with. They want to just put it out there so that their audience can consume their content and hear what they have to offer in their service. But the problem is that a lot of time when you create these valuable content, you put it out into the world and nobody signed up. And that's very discouraging. You put so much energy and effort into creating it. At the end of the day, you will love to see more people signing up and joining. And when you look around, there's so many coaches who's also offering webinars and talk and event, masterclass, and you're wondering, how come they're able to do it? And where's my audience? And why every time I put out something, it's just all crickets? So what's going on? Today, we are going to talk about 4 strategies that you can use in your social media marketing so that the next webinar that you're going to offer, it's going to be a home run. All right. So tip number 1 is you have to be strategic and you have to plan. I cannot tell you how many times my students have brought these webinar idea to me and they want to put out the best webinar they can offer to their audience. And hopefully by the end of the webinar, somebody in the audience will see the values and wanting to sign up. So first of all, there are 2 types of webinar that you're going to give in your entire coaching career, I would say. And the first type is the educational content, where you deliver most of these type of webinar to your paying members or paying clients, where it's all educational content. You're teaching them about some myth or idea or belief that they need to overcome in order to live their full potential. But these are educational webinar versus there's webinar that's intended to convert a cold audience into paying clients. And these are the webinar that you see a lot of times where we talk about the masterclass or webinar that converts, or sometimes you can turn it into an evergreen webinar. Those are the 2 major type of webinar you're going to see a lot on social media by a lot of coaches who use that and incorporate them into their marketing strategy to launch into their coaching offer. So knowing that there's 2 types of webinar, when you plan your webinar or your event, you want to be intentional about which type of webinar I'm going to create for my audience. Now, I would tell you that the educational content is great, but at the end of the day, you also need to have paying clients. Otherwise, you don't have a business, right? You do need the money to fuel your business in order to call it a business. Otherwise, it's just a charity. It's just something that you give away to your audience. So if you do want to have a business, you want to be strategic in planning it so that it's a webinar that will convert from crickets to paying client. What I typically recommend is that you stretch it out about 30 days at the very least. You probably want to start planning if you're someone who's like me. I usually plan 90 days away from the actual webinar I want to deliver. So it can be anywhere from 30 days to 90 days, but I do not recommend that if you're going to really drive traffic to this webinar, don't just create an idea and throw it out into the world, because that just simply doesn't work. Especially if you're a newbie coach, that just simply doesn't work. So you want to sit down and you want to open up your calendar and plan ahead so that it's not just an empty coffee shop at 3 a.m. and nobody show up. So ditch the random posting, sit down, be specific and set up some specific goal about your webinar. Again, do you want this to be an educational webinar where you just teach a concept, a belief, something that's valuable for your audience to learn? Or do you want you to use this webinar and turn it into a conversion webinar, which is where you talk about your service, your offer towards the end of the webinar so that you can get more signed up to your one-on-one offer or group coaching offer or membership, whatever that you want to sell it to your audience. So think about it as a social media map. You're using your calendar to create a social media map. Exactly where is my destination and how do I backtrack and backfill and backplan so that it will take me, no matter what I post, it's always going to take me to that ultimate destination of having a webinar. Now, the second thing that you want to be thinking about, and the second strategies I want you to have, is you want to make sure this is at the right place and the right content. Cannot tell you how many times I see newbie coaches throwing all these different ideas to all the different platforms. They're on LinkedIn, they're on Instagram, they're on Facebook. It's not only very overwhelming, but it's also draining a lot of your energy. If you think about what you have to do on a webinar, you have to create the slide. You probably, if you're not comfortable in speaking in front of public, then you probably need to work on your video script as well. So you got a lot of things going on. Now, if you're spending a whole lot of time being on all these different platform, then you're dividing your energy. So at the end of the day, not only do you feel drained, you feel overwhelmed. And when you don't have a good turnout, it feels very discouraging to see that all the energy and effort that you put in is just crickets. So you want to be intentional about where you're putting out these content during that 30 days as you plan that we talked about in step number 1 is that during that 30 days, focus on one specific platform where you can really drive the traffic to that webinar signed up page or signed up sheet or event page. You choose a platform with intention where your ideal clients would be hanging out so that you can be in front of them. And you also want to make sure that as you're planning out your social media content that drives the traffic to the webinar, these are the right type of content. Let me give you an example. So if you're a life and mindset coach and you're helping others to be more productive and going from chaos to calm, and you're helping them with time management issues, then what you want to do is during that 30 days of period, you want to focus on talking about time management, talking about productivity that would drive the traffic to the ultimate destination, which is your webinar, where you're going to share more valuable contents with your audience who signed up. So during that 30 days of period, don't just create random posts. Don't just talk about anything. You want to focus and talk about the time management, focus and talk about the productivity, and perhaps it's the skills, the tools, the tips that you wanted to share with your audience. So the right content needs to be shared on a platform where your ideal clients would be hanging out. And the ultimate goal is to get everybody to sign up to that webinar. Your webinar is your last call to action. Get everybody who are interested in learning more and deeper dive into this topic, go and join on the webinar. Now, the third tips I have for you is you want to make sure that you are visible in front of all the audience that you can possibly be in front of. This includes your neighbor, your family members, your extended family members. Everybody on the planet of Earth needs to know that you have this webinar coming up, and it's going to be game changing because you're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. So you want to be clear and you want to be visible. And if you ever need help to create an outline of how to put this talk together, how to put this webinar together, there's a link down below to craft your signature talk so that you can turn more crickets into paying clients. I'm going to link it in the video down below, and you're going to see it in the episode note as well. Download that worksheet because that's going to help you to map out exactly what to talk and what are the value or the talking points that you're going to share during this webinar so that your audience have a more clear understanding of what is it that they need to hear or what can they learn from this webinar. And that will help you to become more visible in front of the right people that you need to be in front of. Visibility is your number one goal that you're going to need so that you can drive all the traffic to the webinar. Visibility matters. So if you need help, I have a worksheet that's going to link down below in this episode note so that you can download it and start mapping out your signature talk, what you're going to talk about on this webinar. Tip number 4 is you want to make sure that you keep an eye and also keep tracks of all the analytics that you can find. So, what are some of the analytics that you need to look for on your social media? Now, no matter which platform you use, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, as a profile owner, you have the access to look at how many clicks or how many reach and how many to the post. And these are important numbers to track. And you also want to track during this period of time how many people have joined or request you to be their friend. So you want to look at your audience size. You want to look at how many times people have clicked on the post or liking the post. What are some of the reaction that people are commenting on? These are important analytics that you want to track so that you have the information to know what your audience is looking for. Some of the social media posts is going to tank, and other social media posts is going to get a lot of and comments. And the more comments and engagement that your audience is giving you becomes important information, because it's telling you that your audience likes certain posts and they like certain way of how you've written that caption, or perhaps is a graphic that really capture their attention. There's a lot of values in understanding what your audience wants. And so this way, in the future, when you offer that webinar again, you have that set of information to be able to help you to create more content, what your audience wants to hear, rather than just throwing out spaghetti in the wall and hoping that some of the posts will work, some of the posts will not. You have more strategic way of planning your social media posts based on what your audience liking is. Now, summarize 4 social media strategies that is going to turn your crickets into paying clients in your next webinar. And these are tests and proven strategies that a lot of coaches use. And today I want you to have it too. Number 1 is you want to sit down and have strategic planning. Don't just come up with an idea and throw it out into the world and hoping that something will work. You want to sit down and at least back plan for 30 days before your webinar actually going to be live. Once you determine which day or time your webinar is going to be live, then you want to sit down and plan ahead for your social media posts. Where do you post? You pick one platform where your ideal clients will be hanging out, whether it's a Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Pick one platform where you can drive all the traffic to there, and you can really focusing on all your energy maintaining and managing that platform. So right place and right content. Be strategic and be intentional about the content you're putting out. During that 30 days of time, all the content that you're creating is going to be something related to the webinar you're actually offering. Once you do that, you wanted to make sure that what you're giving out in the webinar is something that's valuable. And how do you do that? You want to be visible in front of all the people that you can possibly think of within your network. It could be your extended family, it could be your family, friends, and everybody needs to know, everybody on the whole entire planet needs to know that you have this fabulous webinar and event coming up. And during that time, you want to be visible. The way that you map out your talk is you want to talk to them about the value that they're going to get out of this webinar. How do you do that? I got a worksheet down below. I'm going to link it in the episode note. It's crafting your signature talk so that you can turn those crickets into paying clients. You can have a free copy down below this video. And with that worksheet, what you're going to do is you're going to map out your talk X, Y, and Z. And from that, you're going to talk about exactly what am I going to get when I attend your webinar. I want to see value. You need to give me a reason why I need to sign up to this webinar so I have a clear picture of what am I going to get when I spend 45 minutes with you. So you can grab a copy down below in this episode. Tip number 4, last but not least, you want to keep track of all your analytics. So everything about the post, what does your audience like? What do they not like? And what got the most engagement? Those are the information that you want to keep track, because those are going to help you to create your next talk, your next social media post that will lead them to the webinar. Personally, I do not recommend that you change your webinar all the time. If one turns out not doing so well, try it again, get all the information that you can get from the first webinar and refine it, tweak it, make it better so that the next time around when you offer it again, you have a better turnout. So there you have it, ladies. These are the 4 social media strategies that is going to boost your webinar sign up. If you like this episode, I would love for you to hit the like, subscribe button, and I will see you on the next coffee shop latte lessons. Bye. Thank you for listening to Make It Visible podcast. If you love this episode and want deeper support for your coaching business, head over to elevatelifecoaching.org and see how we can partner together to turn your passion into a profitable business. I help female coaches launch and scale their coaching business faster than ever without wasted time and money, filling the gaps in your marketing strategies, creating a simple and easy to follow system so you can accelerate on the path of coaching business that you love to wake up to. Head over to elevatelifecoaching.org and grab a free strategy audit today.